Yo. Okay, you guys, what is up? The king is here today. Tired. Gym, gymnasia, worked out, played some basketball. That's what I do. Well, no, I'm training for the Friday of miracles. That's what I'm calling it. The Friday, well, if I actually make it. It's basically the Friday before Soccer Matsuri, where some of the guys, including myself, are going to probably play some basketball. Maybe. Because it depends on my schedule. So, but still, you know, basketball keeps you in shape when you actually, you know, put some effort into it. So, obviously, that's what I've been doing. And plus, I knew that today was going to be mainly a Kuroko's day, since not only the manga came out last night, and I'm reviewing it today, but also the anime came out as well, and I'm going to watch that after I'm done with this review of the actual chapter. So today is the day of Kuroko. Now, that being said, alright, after all that said and done, and I'm sore as shit, though I am pleased with the fact that I am running a lot longer when it comes to the treadmill, which is good, you know, a sign that I am losing weight. I've now reached the consistent, like, 30-minute mark without any stops, which is fantastic, alright? Which is really good for me. Alright, for me. I can run 30 minutes straight on 5. Yay! Okay, now, that being said, I'm getting my fat ass in shape. Lose weight. Okay, let's move on. This week's episode, this week's chapter of Kuroko's No Basket. Izuki. Wow, alright. Keeping up with Hayama's lightning dribble. Now, granted, it was only 4 fingers. Well, I can't say only, because 4 fingers was enough to, you know, actually keep Kagami at bay when Kagami wasn't in the zone. But Izuki is able to actually keep pace with the 4 dribbles, with the 4 fingers. So, the episode ends off with Hayama going 5. He's going all 5 now. But what was actually the most important part is the fact that Izuki himself actually, he got better in the middle of the game. Where in which, normally, he could never actually keep up with someone like Hayama. But this is what I mentioned before. A lot of the people, including the freshmen, they've been going up against who all the time? Akashi Seijiro. Alright, the captain of the Gen. Man, the captain of the Gen. And the amount of pressure that he exudes upon someone is going to be immense. So when you go from someone like Akashi to someone like Hayama, the difference is worlds apart. So that may sway. So basically, it was going to be a catalyst, wherein which the players who went up against who went up against Akashi would get better overall because they had, you know, faced the top predator. They had faced the lion. Now, in my case, I thought that it was going to be the freshmen, where in which, like, the next season, like, you know, next year, when the freshmen, when they start hopefully trying to become more incorporated into the actual game, where in which they're not just like the sideline dudes, but they can actually look towards the freshmen when it comes to players that they can use in game to help with some kind of situation. And because they'd faced someone like Akashi, they would actually have gained new skills because Akashi would have been the catalyst. However, it actually happened really early to Izuki, where in which, well, first of all, it's his mental state. That's number one. Number one is that Izuki doesn't like what's going on here between Chiro. Because, I mean, no one on Team Seirin likes what's going on with Chiro. I mean, even the guys on Kaijo and Shutoku, they're like, no, like, this ain't cool. Because Akashi is literally abusing Chiro. Straight up whipping him. And it's massively fucked up, obviously. Because here we have Chiro, who has dedicated his, well, most of the year to being the new version of the Phantom Six-Man. And now, all Akashi is doing with him is using him as bait. Just to distract Kagami. So it's really fucked up. And it's like he's putting all of the hard work that he put into the actual game is now null and void at this point in time. Because he's just being used like a condom, right? One and done. And that's it, over. Like, we don't need you anymore. So it's really fucked up. It's massively fucked up. And I feel bad for the guy. And then you can see him too. There's no passion. No passion, no soul, nothing. So, and we have Kuroko again, like, he's staring at Akashi, and like, he's thinking to himself, like, and you could tell, he's thinking to himself, like, no, like, this is not the way it should be. But that's what's happening. And what's also happening is that they're at a stalemate. The score is stagnant, wherein which the score keeps on going from 20 to 22, then 20 to 22, then 20 to 22. It's basically Seirin scores, then Rakuzan counters. Seirin scores, Rakuzan counters. And this is also a ploy to let the zone expire for Kagami. Because again, like, you could see that Kagami's starting to actually get like the sweat in the back of the neck. And normally when someone's in the zone, they don't sweat, period. Alright, like, they're dry. They're real dry, alright? Covered in towels. Gym towels. Yeah. But the thing here is that because he's starting to actually sweat in the back of his neck, that's a sign. That's a great indication that Kagami is now slowly... Kagami is now slowly but surely starting to feel the effects of the zone. And once the zone actually ends, because of he'll be very fatigued at that point in time. So it's basically a very risky situation, where in which if Kagami doesn't get out of the zone, or if they don't actually gain significant points before he gets out of the zone, then they're gonna still be stagnant, and Kagami himself is gonna be massively fatigued. Not only that, but Hyuga is still on the bench because he has 4 fouls. And also another layer of trouble. I mean, there are constant layers of trouble when it comes to Team Seirin. Another issue is that Akashi, according to not only the coach of Rakuzan, but also to Aomine, Akashi hasn't done the risky stuff yet. Dude. So that means that Akashi Seijiro, I mean, forget about his other alter ego thing going on, which may or may not happen. We have no idea. But he hasn't even gone all out at his current state. I mean, right now, he's just, I mean, granted, again, Kagami's in the zone, he's a massive threat. And this area, and his defense is, his radius is really large. It's just that it's not to the point where Akashi has to use risky strategies that may backfire. So, because I think he may have done the same thing with Shutoku when it came to Midorima. I'm not too sure. I forget. Well, actually, no. I think that was more or less like just Akashi just using a skill. But regardless of that, if Akashi isn't even using the risky skills yet, that means that Seirin have to overcome more and more and more obstacles before they even get within the 10-point range, let alone winning the game. So the thing here is that, given the nature and the context of what was said when Kuroko stepped in the actual game, wherein which it seemed as if like the tide was swaying. I mean, like, there was this whole explanation about how basketball, whenever like the score is really large, there is no sport more boring than basketball, which again I disagree with completely. Baseball is, and in golf, golf, oh my god. But, and I'm not trying to knock on the golf guys, I'm not trying to knock on the baseball dudes, and I'm just saying that baseball and golf to me are boring as shit. But given the context of what was said, the assumption here is that they're catching up, and they're doing slowly but surely. But jeez, I mean, it's a battle, man. Like, Rakuzan is not giving up. There is no leeway. There is no mercy. Not even for their own teammates that fuck up. And even though there's a 20-point difference. Oh, man. Like, these guys are just... And mind you, the other uncrowned kings, they don't give a damn. Like, they don't really... They don't care at all. They're like, okay, fine. So you fucked up. It's whatever. Okay, so Akashi's... He's abusing you. We don't really care. Alright, it is what it is. You got a problem with that? Big-ass middle finger. So... right now, Hayama. Hanamiya. Hayama. He is going 5 fingers, and we're going to see his dribble. Again, what happened with Izuki was that he basically used the eagle eye to perceive the dribbling motion of Hayama, which he actually knew was going to happen beforehand, and then he was able to actually get there in time. So, very nice. So, he grew in the move of the game. And then we have Iyamoshi explain the whole mindset concept, where in which, I guess you can kind of say, say, power up via feelings, because the mental state that he has right now, I think a lot of it does stem for 2 things. Number one, again, him and Akashi, and him facing Akashi for a period of time, and how Akashi is clearly better, and that may have been, a catalyst for him actually gaining new skills. And number 2 is the abuse of Chiro, where in which people don't like what's going on right there, people who actually know what's happening. So in that notion, you can kind of say it's a mid-game feeling power-up. Because it sounds too much of Madoshi, so I'm like, it's not cool. But at the same time, there is logic behind it, so at least it has that. So the chapter overall, it's a very simple chapter, very straightforward chapter, and it shows you that even though the context of what happened in one of the earlier chapters stated that the game was going to be now, like they're going to start and actually catch up, and how the game itself was no longer going to be a boring game, and how Seirin may actually win the game, but there's still so many hurdles to overcome. And when you have someone like Akashi and the coach of Rakuzan, who are very perceptive, I'm sorry to say this, but they're far more perceptive than Rico, which is true, they really are, then again, there's going to be a lot of hurdles to overcome. But Chiro being abused is, I think, it's going to be a backfire. I do see it backfiring on Akashi and Rakuzan at some later point in time. Either in the sense of Seirin gaining motivation, or Rakuzan themselves dwindling in overall skill because of that reason. So, but yeah, I'm done. King Lightning, be sure to, of course, rate the video, comment, subscribe as always. The chapter rating is going to be let's give it a good. So, peace, have a nice day. It's time to do the anime review.